Hello, hello, hello. Just gonna wait for a few people to join. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Okay, people are joining. Thank you so much for logging on, guys. We really appreciate it. We're gonna start in a few seconds. We're just allowing people to get on the call and join. We are also on Instagram, on our All Walks of Life page, as well as on Facebook. So you're more than welcome to join us on either platform that you feel comfortable. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So just to give an intro, guys, my name is Monique Critchlow. I am the Human Resources Director at All Walks of Life. And today we just wanted to meet with you guys just to talk about a few topics. One being maintaining your professionalism while utilizing online tools, and just to give you some tips and strategies on how to search for jobs or even getting a job during this crisis. Now, before we get started, I want to let you guys know that the keyword of the day is strategic. Again, the keyword of the day is strategic, and I'll say it again at the end of the video. So let's get started. Okay, so maintaining professionalism while utilizing online tools. I think the first thing and the first step is just to identify a quiet space in your home. Again, everyone doesn't have access to a room or an office space, so you may have to utilize maybe your dining room area or even your kitchen area to kind of utilize that space. You want to set boundaries and expectations that you're going to need some time during that meeting or that interview just to have a quiet space. You can kind of conduct it in a professional manner. The next thing is your background. You want to make sure that you have a professional background, somewhat of an office space, or even utilizing the artificial background. Zoom, I know, definitely has a cool feature where you can utilize an artificial background where it blurs everything out and it's just focused on you so that the call can actually, again, have a professional feel to it. You want to also make sure that you're presentable. You want to make sure that you're going in, you want to treat it as if it's just as a face-to-face. So you want to make sure that you are teeth brushed, hair is done, you're looking spazzy and spiffy on the call. You want to make sure that you look presentable on the call. Even though it is in your home, the environment has changed. You're still in the workplace environment. I think the next thing about maintaining professionalism while utilizing the tool is just to know the tool. You want to be able to position the camera where it's not too high and it's not too low, that it's kind of eye and you can actually see and you can kind of engage with your meeting and with the people and candidates and saying a little bit more better that way. I think another thing is utilizing that mute button. The mute button is so important. The mute button is important because it kind of eliminates the background noise. Sometimes we can't help the fact that we have kids running around in the background or we may be washing clothes. So just to maintain that professionalism, you just want to make sure that you know where the mute button is and you want to utilize it when you're not speaking at all. I think what also really helps is that for a professional meeting that you just prepare for the meeting. If you're not sure as to why you were invited, just ask your manager, ask your next level supervisor why you were invited to the meeting. Is there anything that you kind of need to do to prepare for the meeting and so that you're ready to go once you're called on in that meeting? So again, those are just some tips and some tricks and just maintaining a professionalism while you're actually utilizing the online tools in this time right now. So next we're going to go to tips and strategies on searching for a job in a crisis or even actually getting that job in the crisis. And I think the first and the best thing is to engage your network, okay? It's really good that you engage your network. Tell your family, tell your friends, you're looking for a job, you're searching for a job in this company, that company. It's also really smart to don't be hesitant to not engage your previous colleagues or maybe your previous boss and just ask around. I mean, everyone's at home right now, so you just never know when someone may actually have a job and that actually can have you get the interview. So don't underestimate your network. Definitely engage your personal network. Let everyone know what you're doing, what you're trying to do. I think the next thing that we don't utilize next is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. I will say that in my previous position, I was able to give a presentation to my employees about the power of LinkedIn. LinkedIn just shows your full body of work. It allows that new hire to kind of showcase everything that they do. I'll give you some examples. The first thing about LinkedIn that's really, really good is that it allows other people to vouch for your skills. So it kind of shows that recruiter a little bit more about you that your resume may not actually show. For instance, let's say that you're a good communicator and you're good at Excel, and let's say you are great at customer service. So that's good to have those skills and identify those skills on your resume, but it's so much better when you go on LinkedIn and you see that there's 10 or 20 other people that have vouched for those skills to say, you know what, she is a good leader, she is a good communicator. It just kind of makes it a little bit more better for you in the recruiter's eyes. Another thing that LinkedIn allows you to do is to have recommendations. Another thing that your resume may not show, that LinkedIn allows other people to write a recommendation about you so that you can kind of stand out a lot better for your other people that are applying to. It also allows you to show your extracurricular and your interests. And I'll tell you that although this is not something that you would normally put on your resume, I had a client one time that was actually able to build a relationship or at least a conversation with the recruiter on her way to the elevator before the interview because she utilized LinkedIn, and so they both went to the same NAACP meetings. So it's just another way for her to kind of showcase and show something outside of the resume and also outside of the interview to make her stand out a lot better. Really helped. Just gives you a proactive option also, I think, is the recruiter option. On LinkedIn, it allows you to click a button and the recruiters will be alerted that you are actually looking for jobs. So it's just another strategy for you to use so that, again, the recruiter can reach out to you proactively as well as you looking for jobs. I think it's a cool feature. But enough about LinkedIn, they're not sponsoring us, so we're going to go back to the resume next. So it's very important, I think, the next thing in terms of finding a job during this crisis to make sure that you're being very strategic with your resume, okay? It's good that you're clear and concise and that for each job you're applying for, you're really kind of maneuvering that resume, adding those keywords to the job rec to that resume for each individual job you apply. It allows it to speak to the recruiter and allows them to see that, you know what, this is probably going to be a good fit for the job. Also, have someone else that you trust as a mentor to look over your resume. They possibly can give you some other hints or a second suggestion to make it better, maybe some additions or things you can take out of the resume. But it's so important that you at least have somebody else looking at the resume that you trust to kind of get that in. So next, we're going to go to interviewing. Now, I know a lot of people don't like interviewing. You're not the only one. It's awkward, and so you get nervous, just start to saying, just feel all nervous and jittery. You don't really know how to answer the question. So for this day and time, it's really important that you get to identify what virtual interviewing is all about and the types of interviewing. So first you have the traditional phone calls, of course. Then you have the video conferencing, which you may be more familiar with, utilizing Zoom and things like that. But also there's also a new way called a one-way interview. And a one-way interview is typically where you get a list of questions and you sit down and you record yourself in a very professional way, and then the recruiter listens to that video later on and then makes their picks. So those are just 3 different ways of virtual interviewing that you really want to get familiar with. As well as we discussed in the beginning, knowing the platforms. There's FaceTime, there's Zoom, Skype, Google Hangouts. It's really important that before your interview, find out which platform they're going to use, look up a YouTube video, figure out exactly how to use it so that you're not fumbling around during the session. And again, adjusting the camera, making sure the camera is eye length, so it's not too high, not too low, that you're really having that one-on-one conversation with your interviewer. Also, I would say when, especially not really in meetings, but when you're interviewing, I would avoid the swivel chair. Sometimes subconsciously, when we're thinking about what to say, we start to do this, right? Like, and that doesn't come across very professional in an interview. So it's very important, if you can and you have a still chair, avoid the swivel chairs when you're in an interview. Lastly, I would say to attempt to answer the question as fully, as best of your ability as you can. It's really important when you're interviewing during these live sessions that you're concise, you're clear, and you fully answer that question. And sometimes that's kind of hard to do, right? So a tip or strategy that I have is to utilize what I call the STAR method, okay? So that's STAR. So that stands for situation, task or action, and then the result. So let me give you guys an example, okay? So let's say that you're in an interview, right? And they ask you, tell me about a time when a customer was mad or irate. What did you do to resolve the issue, okay? That's the question. So you can say, using the STAR method, the situation was I had a call, the customer called in, they were irate and mad because their child broke their phone. She assumed that she had to pay over $1,000 to get a new phone and she was just upset. That's the situation. So the task and action, as a result of that, what I did was I empathized with her. I have kids of my own. I was able to let her know that those things does happen. And while I'm empathizing with her, I was able to look up her account and see that she had insurance. Also looked up a deal and a discount where I was able to give her a discount off of her deductible. She was able to get a new phone, and she was able to also add her husband to the account. As a result, that's the R, as a result of me doing these things, she was very happy. She was able to add her husband to the account. They added insurance, which also added more revenue to the company. Boom. And you're done. I know that sounded easy, guys. It takes a lot of practice. Did those things happen? No. Do I have kids? No. But using that STAR method allowed me to kind of stick to a script that I can answer the questions very full and concise and clear. Okay? I think that last, to get strategic while you're looking for a job during these times is to really get strategic with your job search. Okay? So how do you do that? I think that just a few tips. The first tip is that if you're utilizing Indeed, if you're utilizing, and I see a question popping up, I will answer that in 1 second. When utilizing Indeed or any other job search engines, it's important that, let's say you identify a job that you want to apply for on Indeed or Monster, right? Go to the company site as well and apply there as well. I say that because when you apply on the company site, if that is an option, that recruiter is going to get that faster than having to log on to another platform like Indeed and then search it through all the candidates. And it also allows you to have your name show up twice, which doesn't hurt, of course. You want your name to show up as much as possible. I think lastly, guys, in terms of your job search, one tip to be strategic is just to create a professional email that only those jobs go to, okay? And that's going to help you stay organized. It's going to help you make sure that you filter through all your personal versus the job interviews. So again, those are just some tips and strategies. We have a lot more, but that should kind of get you started on in terms of how to find a job during this crisis. So I see some questions coming in. Let's see here. What's the most common mistake people make while using Zoom in the workplace? So I'm not sure what's the common mistake people make using Zoom. Oh, in the workplace, I think that, let's see. I think they get comfortable. So they may not maintain their professionalism as if they're at work. It's kind of a different platform. If you were in that meeting with the CEO, you would probably be sitting up straight. You may be not kidding around as much. I think that Zoom time sometimes allows people to get a little bit comfortable where they lose a little bit of their professionalism. But just understand that someone's always watching, always watching. They may get loose a little bit with you, but you always want to maintain that professionalism. I think another common mistake that people make when using Zoom in the workplace is not utilizing that mute button. So you hear these things in the background and you're like, oh my gosh, it kind of throws the meeting off a little bit. So again, the mute button is your friend, definitely. Let's see here. Another question is, can you also touch on the importance of doing company research prior to the interview, in addition to researching who was interviewing you if possible? Great question, Jonathan. I think that's very important that you do the company research. Go onto the company's website, right? Go to About, and then you can discover what's their mission? Why are they even in business? Who's the CEO? What does he do? What's important to him? So that at the end of the interview, when they ask you, do you have any questions? You can kind of align your questions and showcase that you did the research. It's kind of like you want to know that the person has invested in you. They're not just wanting a job. They want to be a part of the mission. So I think that's very important that you research the job, the mission statement, what they stand for, why are they even in business, who are their key players, what is the strategy of the business. I would ask questions about what they feel where are they going to be in the next 5 years. So again, that will be very helpful, Jonathan. Again, great question. The second part of your question is, researching who is interviewing you. To go back to LinkedIn, I feel that's another strategy you guys can utilize with LinkedIn. If you find the name of your recruiter or the hiring manager or the person that is going to be interviewing you, you can go onto their LinkedIn and you can figure out exactly what's their position, what do they do, how are they going to actually, are they going to be managing you, what are they volunteering with, what are their interests are, and that way you can spark up strategic conversations throughout that interview to make you stand out more than someone else would know. Let's see here. Another question is, what do you recommend in terms of following up when you haven't heard from an employer for a few weeks, especially now that most people are remote? Great question. So to be honest and transparent with you guys, we are in a pandemic, right? So a lot of the industries that we're hiring are not hiring as much, right? Doesn't mean that the opportunity won't come. It's very important that you prepare during these times so that when things open up again, you are ready to go, ready to shoot off that resume and ready to respond. But to your question, what happens when there's weeks and weeks and weeks that go by and you don't hear anything? There's nothing wrong with calling the company, and there's nothing wrong with sending an email. A very polite email, very short, very concise, saying I'm still very energized and motivated to have the position. Just wanted to check up to see if there's anything that I was missing. Here's my phone number, my email address, if you needed anything from me. Very polite, but it just kind of nudges them a little bit like, hey, what's up with the job? And I will say, guys, when that does happen, it's not personal all the time. There's so many things going on in the background that they may not get back to you right away, or it may not match your urgency. But just keep in mind, there's a pandemic going on and so many other things. People are adjusting to this remote life that they may not get back to you right away, but try not to take it personally. Again, there's so many other things that are going on that it may distract them or keep them from getting back to you right away. Okay. Okay, I don't see any other questions, guys. Again, it was great talking with you guys. If you have any other questions or concerns, or kind of want to know some more tips and tricks on how to interview through Zoom, or how to kind of get your resume popping so that it kind of stands out amongst the rest, just send us an email at humanresources@awlllc.org, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Just going to wait around a little bit. I don't think I see anyone else with any questions at all. You're welcome, Jonathan. Not a problem at all. Well, guys, again, my name is Monique Critchlow. It was wonderful talking with you guys, sharing some tips and tricks and some things that we can maintain our professionalism, as well as how we can adapt and be a little bit more strategic in our job searches. And again, that keyword was strategic. Have a great day, guys. Thank you. Bye.